And hello and welcome back to Chaos Child. Last time I recorded during a week where, simplest explanation is someone I had worked with for years on my team that I work with had gotten fired, so things got a lot more busy. Combine that with every other random thing just generally being busy, and it sort of turns into, okay, well, great, in terms of like my personal life as well as what actually needs to get done for the career I do that isn't this, because I don't make money off this, nor will I ever plan to, FYI. And by the end of it, especially when I was at the point where it's like, okay, I have to record something, let's see how this goes. And at that point, I actually just straight up felt sick. I don't think I was actually sick. I didn't really have enough symptoms for me to feel sick, but it was like completely warped of energy. Like half, like not getting nearly enough sleep and all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm a bit better now on the weekend, but it's not a personal drama for me so much as it's just great timing of everything, you know. So, let's continue. It was a dimly lit, musty-smelling hallway. It was clear that the place hadn't been abandoned. There wasn't a layer of dust everywhere. It even felt like it had been cleaned. But it felt so old. There's a sense of desolation, as if no one had wanted us to use this place for anything for a very long time. Maybe it's a shelter. Had it been like this since the hospital above us was built? And this air, I knew it. Sides of my head started to hurt as the horrible memories came back.
Ne, Taku, ここって。
Sarika seemed to remember too. That's right, this was the place. I didn't know how we'd done it. But when we were kids, the two of us had snuck into the basement of the AH Tokyo General Hospital. We were trying to investigate an urban legend about Amy. And then Sarika and I feel like they're showing it a little bit more each time. We'd seen it. Tried to avoid thinking about it as much as I possibly could, but I'd failed. The memory would come back to me, then fade, then come back again. As I'd grown up, I'd even tried to convince myself that I'd never seen anything at all. But I failed at that too. It was unreal, like something out of a nightmare. But something in my heart told me that it was real. And it was real, after all. Yes. Oh, is that a... Oh, no, that's probably glass on the other side. Given that the reflection seems to show the scientists, too. I was thinking, like, is there someone else behind there? Yes, it was real. I was sure of it.
Taku, 出よう。ここ、やだ。出よう。
おい、どうしたんだよ、二人とも。
Ida realized that something was wrong with Sarika and I, and tried to pull us back up the stairs. Yeah, I was about to say. But we couldn't do that. There's suddenly footsteps behind us. What? I could hear what sounded like the panting of a beast behind me. I could feel its warm, stinking breath on my neck. Which would mean it's right behind you?
何かいる。
I couldn't turn around. I wanted to follow the ground in terror. But if I did that, I knew somehow that the thing behind me would attack. Suddenly I heard Sarah's thin, frail voice. She should have been right next to me, but for some reason I couldn't see her.
あの、
助け
Then her voice cut off. She said the same thing as the flashback girl, who had similar hair. Oh my, I still, okay, I think my stuff from last time still feels like it makes sense. And then there's the sound of something being crushed. If that's Ito, I swear to goodness, game, I might just stop playing you right now. And the sound of what sounded like someone kneading a ball of meat. And mixed with it was the sound of snapping bones. Okay, this is really sudden. We don't have the little red border around us. So it doesn't seem to imply it's one of his delusions. Ito turned around and suddenly froze with terror.
宮代。あれ。なんだ。なんなんだよ。おい。
No, you idiot. Don't look. If you look, it will kill you. So don't look. A blood piece of meat fell to the ground at our feet. It was what used to be Serica. Ito screamed. This is so weird. What the fuck? This is so sudden. And what? I couldn't help myself. I turned around to look at what he was seeing. And what I saw was... What? What? It was standing there moaning in a voice filled with hatred and pain. And that's not actually... I mean, honestly, I don't actually find that scary. But what the fuck? Delusory dwellers of the outcry. Oh, that would have not been a horrible place to end last time. If I went farther. What was that? What the hell was that? I don't know. What used to be Serica, you say? A giant woman with a head like Suma sticker. It looks like lab coat. It was almost like a bad joke. I wanted to laugh. This hilarious looking monster was going to be what killed me. Yeah, it's not really all that scary, outside of it just being big. What the hell kind of death was that? The other thing is that was just so fucking sudden. Suddenly there's something behind them that just snuck up on them that was super quick, or super quiet, and was able to kill Serica without her making a peep? What? If you laugh, that thing isn't scary at all. The only thing that comes to mind is that, and I feel like it's been hinting at it, and it's the sort of thing that makes sense for how these delusions could potentially impact actual, like, how the story deviates or anything like that, is that he somehow makes things real in his delusions or something like that. And this is that. The giant woman's hand stretched out for me, and as it moaned in pain, its arms moved in to crush me. And suddenly my vision went black. I couldn't see anything. Then I realized it had probably crushed my eyes without feeling any... I don't fucking know anymore. That hilarious-looking Sumo Sticker woman crushed my eyes. I was going to be torn apart like Serica and killed. It was the funniest thing in the world! Fantastically. Could you even imagine anything stupider?
おい、何をしている？
Suddenly I heard a sharp voice next to me. Something moaned, moved over my mouth and stopped me from laughing. I was grabbed from behind and thin but powerful arms were wrapped around my neck. It hurt, I couldn't breathe. That sort of sounded like Labcoat's voice.
おとなしくしろ。それ以上バカでかい声を上げるな。
Still sort of sounds like her, not entirely sure.
静かにするなら話してやる。でなければ、このまま締め落とす。
I nodded as hard as I could. Then the hands around my neck relaxed and it became much easier to breathe. My vision came back at the same time. Whoever had grabbed me had covered my eyes as well as my mouth. They hadn't been crushed after all.
あの女は化け物は。
だから落ち着け。お前は。
Oh! I doubled over in pain as she punched me in the stomach. I could feel stomach acid coming up my throat and burning it. But the pain made my head feel much clearer. When I looked up, I didn't see a monster that had a super sticker anymore. Just a dark, musty hallway. Oh, yeah, it's almost as if it's just all the things he was scared of wrapped into one, Suma sticker and lab coat. There is a sense to how that whole thing progressed, where it really did sort of feel like a dream, where things just happen and they're accepted as fact, that sort of thing. Like, you know when you're in a dream and then you just like, oh, what's the best way to phrase it? You know when you're in a dream and shit just happens and because it's coming from your mind, you accept it? Because it's like it immediately happens. It feels like that.
今のはただの幻覚。大丈夫か？おい。尾上、人。僕は何を？
Yeah, I don't know, man.
なんか発作を起こしたんだよ。しかも急に叫び出して。
私たちもパニックになりそうだったの。そしたら久野里さんが助けてくれて。
Who?
久野里さん。
You mean Labcoat? Say it right. Labcoat, wasn't that? Oh, right, the girl who's with Shinjo.
まったく素人どもがこんなところで何をしている？
What are you doing in a place like this? Are you following us? Is that why you're here? Or is this a place that you normally are? Yeah, I remembered that cold voice. I looked back at the speaker.
やっぱりこの人か。
お前たち誰かに連れてこられたというわけではなさそうだな。ということはまさか忍び込んできたのか？どうやって？
Oh, so you are just a normal resident of this place. What the fuck are you doing? This is okay. I assumed entirely the opposite. Huh.
どうって。
Ha 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 ha. Okay, well, what do I make of that? Does that mean that maybe her science fellows are creating the psychics, or maybe they're bringing them in to research what the fuck's going on with that, or something?
私たちですらここのキーを入手するのにかなりの苦労を強いられたんだ。なのになぜ？
Oh, okay. So you're not supposed to be here. Interesting. Sure, we had a bit of a bad time in the autopsy room, but it hadn't really been that hard to get into here. No, I think we were incredibly lucky, And the fact that we were lucky, we were either guided or lucky, and the lucky thing seems a bit more of harder to swallow. Let's say that. So, yeah. Yeah, I would be surprised if we aren't basically being guided in here. I'm surprised she showed up and found us. The fact that we showed up and suddenly they were bringing people in at that exact time to the exact place we happened to just, walk into. I think, like, the reason we walked into it was because that just happens to be when we heard people make activity and we were like, oh, let's get somewhere, and we were next to it. Which means that could also be manipulated, timing-wise. None of the doors had been locked. Oh, that too, yeah. When I told her that, Kunisana glared at us with suspicious eyes.
久野里さん。
まあいい。とにかく邪魔だ。今すぐ帰れ。
Okay.
おいおい、そりゃないだろ。助けてくれたのは感謝するけどさ、いきなり邪魔者扱いとか。
He's talking a bit loud. The next instant, the lab coat had close the gap between Ito and herself and started strangling him.
騒ぐなと言ったのが聞こえなかったのか。
Ito nodded, tears coming out of his eyes. Could understand why. I didn't know how she could store so much power in her tiny body, but I just felt it for myself. Ito rubbed his throat in pain and she let him go.
もう一度言う。邪魔だ。帰れ。
Her voice was intimidating enough that I almost obeyed, but we'd come here for a reason. And... this place had something to do with our past. If I could, I wanted to find out what happened then. Maybe we could be rid of the nightmare that had been making us suffer for so long. Okay, well, if you want to deal with that, and you want to have her maybe possibly willing to work with you, divulge everything you know to her. So she might be like, fuck, you guys, it might be actually important to have you along or something like that. I need to tell her straight.
僕たちは。
私たちはやらなきゃいけないことがあってきたんです。そんな風に頭ごなしに帰れって言われても帰れません。
You're gonna get strangled.
尾上。
That was what I was trying to say.
尾上お前尾上セリカか。
Ooh.
そうですけど。
Ooh.
何か？
いや、とにかく帰るんだ。
危険なのは分かってます。でも僕たちだってどうしても。
誰がお前たちの心配をしている？
え？
私は私の目的があってここにいる。お前たちに勝手な行動をされて、その目的の遂行を邪魔されては困ると、そう言ってるんだ。
God.
その目的って何なんです？
お前たちには関係ない。
I don't believe that entirely, at least. She turned around and started to walk away.
いいですよ。だったら僕たちも勝手にしますから。
しますから。
Oh boy.
何？
She turned around and stared at us. Her glare was like a fierce panther's. Well, if you don't want us to create a ruckus and everyone to get caught, then you'll let us do what we want and take the lower risk. I swallowed my words, but Serika didn't.
理由も話せないような人の言うことになんて従いません。
貴様。
さあ、タク、しんちゃんも行こう。急いでタクのスマホ見つけなきゃ。
ああ。
やっぱ女っていざって時強えな。
Yeah. Shocking, right? In before lab coat has the phone. I'm just gonna note. In before lab coat has the phone for some reason. Ida whispered in my ear.
だったらおとなしくついてこい。私の言うことに逆らうなよ。
いいんすか？
Ito had become very polite towards her after she strangled him. I wonder if we've awakened something in Ito.
時間がないんだ。しかも、ここまで慎重に調査を進めてきたのに、お前たちが見つかったり、騒ぎを起こされでもしたら、すべてが水の泡になる。
Their arrogant manner was almost enough to make me talk back to her, but then I realized something. She could strangle me still. If she'd done a lot of careful investigation, that means she had information that we didn't. So wouldn't it be better to pretend to obey for now?
それで最後にはこっちが利用してやる。
話は終わりだ。壁沿いに静かについてこい。大きな音や声は出すな。
Got it. She looked down at the hallway, then moved over to the wall. And then she started to move quickly and quietly. I made eye contact with Ito and Serika and then followed her. The further down the hallway we went, the darker it got. The lights were sporadically placed, half of them were burnt out. You had to look carefully to see more than a few meters ahead. The only things I had to guide me were the black-haired girl in front of me and the wall that I was touching with my hand. The wall had been repaired for a long time. In some places the paint had fallen off, and in parts the steel beams underneath were exposed. The place must have been built a long time ago. Well, let's check that fire extinguisher. Wonder if it has an expiration date on it. We walked through the underground labyrinth as quietly as we could. None of my five senses were of any use to me now. I had no idea where I was or how I got in there. But Labcoat seemed to know exactly where she was going. Looking back, maybe we were lucky to meet her. So if they made a patch for this that went in and changed stuff, would it be possible for me to make a patch that just automatically detects every mention of her name and just replace it with a lab coat? I'm just thinking, like, would that be feasible? I'm not too familiar with any of those processes, but maybe. I guess it depends how searchable it is, and it would have to be less a patch and more like an editing software. But maybe we were lucky to meet her. I had no idea how long we've been walking, but we finally come to a part of the hallway with a row of doors to the on the opposite wall. The doors were made of steel and looked very strong. On the upper part of each was what looked like a number plate. There were very tiny windows on the doors. They had thick bars on them. They looked like solitary confinement cells that I'd seen on a TV show once.
この中に人が？いや、まさかな。
The space beyond the bars was pitch black, and I couldn't tell if there's anything inside.
なんか気味悪いな。
だから黙って歩け。
She said,
すいません。
Shh, don't say the sorry out loud. You dumb... Okay. Ito quickly apologized, but Labcoat turned around, walked up to him, and wrapped her hand around his throat again. The sound effect they're using for strangling sounds like a zip tie. I gotta be honest, it sounds more like a zip tie than anything else. Zip, zippity, zip dante.
遊びじゃないんだ。お前、死ぬぞ。
Yeah, that's why you carry around a bunch of zip ties to strangle people with. I actually wonder if that might be... Oh, just when I thought that I had, One sec. Okay, sorry, back. Man, that is a long time between my previous quick little break that I came back from that I probably tried to just blend in with the zippity zip tie thing and the fact that I got a Discord message like immediately after. I was like, okay, well, let's start up and stuff again. Hello. Ito nodded again and again. Fine, she glared at him one last time and let him go. So that probably was a good 5 minutes of him getting strangled. He put his hand on his throat and moaned a little. It was obvious that Labcoat wasn't messing around. Maybe this place is more dangerous than I thought. Shh, shh. Suddenly, I heard the sound of someone pounding on the door from the inside.
Huh? Huh?
Someone was inside? Shh, shh, shh.
何なんだよ、おい。
You too? Why is everyone so loud?
静かにしろ。騒ぐな。
But... We almost screamed, but when we saw Labcoat's glare, we quickly put our hands over our mouths. What the hell was that voice? Sarah tugged frantically at my arm. Then Ito grabbed onto me as well. I want to clean some too, but there's no one for me to grab to. Or grab.
あれ、あっちの扉の中から目が。
Oh my god, you're all fucking idiots. Come on. It's not hard to figure out what's sort of going on here. The only upside is that if they're like, either they're not like this, actually it's either a bad or a good thing. Either they're not like this normally, and them screaming means that someone's around and it will attract attention, or they scream somewhat regularly enough that even us making a bit of noise might not attract attention because they think it might be part of them.
Nani?
I looked over to where Ida was pointing and tried to see for myself, but I couldn't see anything.
気のせいだろ。
いや、確かに見た。間違いなく目だった。
Now there was singing. I could hear her go singing in a tiny, barely audible voice. Creak, creak, a woman was pushing an old baby carriage down the hallway towards us. Okay. Oh, this is such a good situation. She was the one singing. Serika and Ito cringed in terror. My heart was beating so fast and so loud that I could hear the sound echoing in my ears.
止まれ。壁に張り付いてじっとしている。向こうにはこっちが見えていない。
Interesting. Why? Do what she says. Do what she says, dumbass. You don't have time to consider the other possibilities. Just do it. It's not like it's a downside. Worst case, if you stand here arguing, it's the same fucking result as moving over to the wall, even if she's wrong.
いいから喋るな。
Lapka pushed her back up against the wall and stopped breathing. We did the same, and our bodies shaked with fear as we moved.
もっとお歌歌ってほしいのね。
Talking to the baby, well, talking to the stroller at least, I presume. Creak, creak, the sound of the creaking old carriage got closer and closer as the woman passed near us. Lapka was right. Her eyes were hazy and out of focus, and she didn't seem to notice us. But she was only a meter away. Slowly, slowly, she sang as she pushed the carriage right past us. It was so terrified his body started to spasm. Just fucking calm down. Just a little bit. Close your eyes. Anything. He gave out a small cry. The woman stopped right in front of us and slowly turned around. Her empty eyes stared at us, then slowly, jerkily, like a broken machine, she tilted her head. We clung to the wall and held our breath, unable to move a muscle. We were too scared to even close our eyes. I couldn't take any more. I wanted out. I wanted to get away from here. If I stayed here another minute, I was gonna go crazy. The woman stared at us for what felt like hours. But then she looked forward once more, as if nothing had happened, and started to walk again. Shh, even that fucking... We almost collapsed to the ground in relief. I couldn't take my eyes off of her as she disappeared into the darkness.
自分たちがどういう場所にいるのか少しは分かったか
No, not actually. It's actually not as helpful as you think it might be. Oh, I can get a more vague idea at least, though. Even as we'd been almost crushed by the terror, Labgoat had been completely calm. Well, if you know what's under...
帰りたいと泣いてももう遅いからなそこが目的の部屋だ
If you know what's going on, then you have a significantly larger upper hand on dealing with things emotionally. The unknown is the greatest fear of all, after all. Lapcap moved away from the wall and started straight in front of us. And stared straight in front of us.
目的の
So a thought that comes to mind, and this is sort of unrelated to what just happened. So she's like, you're Sarika. Oh no, he's Sarika, eh? Why didn't she do that when we were in the club room? That's weird. She's like, huh? It's a weird reaction to have off the cuff of the moment when you've met the person before. Though, is this the room that had that person yell before? Or I guess there are multiple of them, so. I followed her gaze to a pair of double doors in the darkness. They were different than the others. They looked like the doors to a normal lab.
来い遅れるな
Is it to an operational room? Lapcoat headed towards the door, seeming completely unafraid. Sarah's legs were shaking too much for her to move, so Ito and I helped her as we followed. When we got to the door, Lapcoat took out what looked like a key card from his skirt pocket. The door had a modern electronic lock, unlike the others we'd seen so far. She put the keycard up to the reader, and the door swung open silently. She disappeared into the room, and we quickly followed. We all gasped at what as we entered the room. An entire wall of the room was lined with monitors. They were probably set up to observe something, but every one of them was off, so there's no way to tell what. But it was hard to believe that someone would set up something like this in a normal hospital.
おい
Lapcoat turned towards Ito and gave him an order in a flat, emotionless voice. I think I'm getting close to shipping these two, mind you. You think Ito and Lapcoat? No, I actually sort of would, be interested to see how that would turn out. Anyone else ship Ito and Lapcoat at the moment?
見張りくらいはやってもらおうドアの外の音に注意してろ誰か来たら知らせるんだ
了解
Lapcoat nodded, looked around the room, and then headed straight for her computer. I will note, Ito is the one that she is actually trusting with something. I'm just saying. She took a look at the wiring behind it and then flipped the power switch. The machine started to make a low noise.
動くんって
見ればわかるだろう
でも勝手に立ち上げたりして大丈夫な
どうして
だってネットでつながってたりしたら動かしてることバレるんじゃ
心配ないこいつがスタンドアローンだということは確認してある
How? Oh, that explained it? That just makes everything better. If that was true, at least we wouldn't have to worry about someone seeing it from the outside.
お前たちが思いつくようなことを私が考えないとでも思ったのかバカにするなよ
Yeah, but we're here standing in the unknown, so the idea that you have thought of it and consider it doesn't necessarily mean that I suppose. So what you're saying is that we need to have faith in you? If we have a question come up and it's like, no, she's thought of that already. She's already taken consideration for that. No, yeah. Complete faith in Lapcoat. She was as obnoxious as ever. Neither of us know the first thing about you, though, so can you really blame us? Was something that neither Ito nor I could say. So many. The OS on the computer had booted up. I looked at the screen and saw lab coat was entering some kind of password. The password was accepted and the screen filled with several folders. She opened them up and began carefully checking the contents of each one. Unfortunately, many of the files were written in English, and we had no idea what they said. Ooh, I can help. Lapcoat, however, was reading through each one and nodding.
これはフォルダ自体にパスがかかってるな。ということはこの先か。
Them being in English is interesting, implying some semblance of an international link of whatever's going on here. She seemed to be trying to unlock the password at incredible speed.
なんだよ。
彼女、学校で見たことあるか？
いや、どうしてだ？
学校にいたんだよ。うちの制服着て。だから、うちの生徒のはずなんだけど。そうか。お前も見たことないのか？
マジかよ、それ。
Ito seemed more shocked than I expected. She's literally wearing the uniform. She has been the entire time.
嘘だろ。こんな美人、俺がチェックしてなかっただとは。
Oh my goodness, it's happening! Not only was she attractive, she seemed incredibly smart, and she had an arrogant attitude that made her nothing like the other students. If she'd been coming to school, she would have stood out, in both a good and a bad way. But Ito didn't know her.
何を調べてるんですか？
Her buttocks. I don't know. Sarah asked a question that both Ito and I was too afraid to ask. Oh, what's she looking at? Okay, got it. I was sure she'd be told to shut up. Fine.
この施設で何が行われていたかだよ。
She answered Sarah's question much more easily than I expected. Then maybe I could ask something too.
この施設って病院とは何か関係が？
黙ってろと言っただろうが。
Damn it! Why was I getting treated so differently? Didn't seem that much louder. Or she... Oh, no. Is it the whole she hates me sort of thing? Because maybe I'm a psychic sort of thing going on here? Was it because Sarah was a girl? Was it because she's... You know, one of those types? What? No. Ito's got a chance. I'm sure of it. Come on. Don't tell me she normally dressed and acted like a boy. Oh, boy. I don't think I've seen her in any other outfit, so I really don't think we have anything to judge on that. That explained why Ito didn't know her. Kinsada ignored me and typed in a series of commands, then opened what looked like a top-secret file. Really? You wouldn't... I don't think she... Well, okay, one, she doesn't seem like the type that would go out of her way to try to hide herself. And two, she doesn't seem like the type with that hair to also not stick out even if she was dressing up as a boy at school, basically. Like in the boys' uniform, that sort of thing. She opened a file and then...
Jared.
She smiled for the first time that I'd ever seen and clicked on a file. Oh, have we seen her smile on any other occasion? We're not going to show her smile? And then something appeared on the screen. Oh, really? What were those called? Research? Yeah, oh, he says that they're research. How do you pronounce that? Those test things, the ink blots. It's a strange picture drawn in ink and paint.
何これ？落書き？
It's weird that it's partly red. Normally they're all black, right?
いや違う。あれは。
They're evenly red too, which doesn't imply like it was added accidentally later, like someone bleeded on it. I've seen somewhere before. That was...
そうか。ロールシャッハテストだ。
I remember reading about them in an issue of Cool Cat Press.
ほう。抜けた顔しているが、最低限の知識はあるようだな。
I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. It was an insult. Don't even try to pretend it's a compliment.
ロールシャハテスト？
Yeah, I think that's very common. That's fairly common knowledge. Those things come up in media fairly regularly. Psychodiagnostics. Interesting. Interesting.
あれだ。確か性格診断かなんかの。
そう。インクのシミでできた全く意味のない図形が何に見えるかで、その人の性格や思考が分析できるんだ。
正確に言えば、インクのシミを落とした紙を真ん中で折り曲げ、それで生じた左右対称の図形を使う。
I guess I don't know why the symmetry is considered important. Just like Labcoat said, all the pictures in the screen were almost perfectly symmetrical.
ただし、ロールシャッハテスト自体、果たして精神分析法として有効かどうか、疑問視もされているんだがな。
I mean, you ask anyone about their interpretation of anything, you're gonna get some insights on how they think. How effective it is, I suppose, in terms of getting deep into insightful things, that's another question. I guess that is more what she's saying. Labcoat was studying the screen intently.
ってことは、ここはその、上にある精神科と同じような施設だったということですか？
If that was the case, I can imagine what these monitors were there for. They would look at each of the patient's room. That would mean that this was a medical facility that treated illnesses. At least that's what I wanted it to mean. Because... thing that Zarek and I had seen as a child. You think there might be some of those ink blot tests up on that screen there? The strange atmosphere that we'd sensed. And that voice, which I could still hear in my eyes. We abandoned her and ran away from this place. So if that wasn't some kind of torture chamber, and this place was actually curing her, Zarek and I would be free of guilt that had been with us for so long. But my hopes...
違う。ここはそんな生優しい場所じゃない。
were quickly dashed by Lapcoat's answer. She opened another folder. It was filled with reports written in Japanese this time, so probably the local operational files then?
センスへの断続的刺激による臨床実験。ロブスに与える電気信号とフェノメノン。
On the phenomenon. Okay, let's talk about the phenomenon. I'm super curious. I like when games have lore that is like, it's like thought through almost as like a pseudoscience. That's because what that means typically is that there's an underlying logic to how everything works, right? Even if it's fantastical logic, there's an underlying logic, and it's not like things are... Magic is magic because magic is a thing, like that sort of thing, right? I like when games do that. That really, it's the sort of world building that really just makes things click together so much better for me.
思った通り、ここでは脳科学方面からのアプローチによる臨床実験が行われていたようだな。
脳科学？臨床実験って？
うるさい。余計な口を挟む。
でも僕のよく知ってる子がここにいたかもしれないんです。
何？
I lied. I didn't know who she was. But if I didn't lie, I didn't feel like she was going to tell me anything. Just as I expected, when she turned around, I saw the first faint glimmerings of interest in me on Lapcoat's face. I gave her a brief description of what I witnessed here so long ago. Lapcoat bit her lip. Her expression was different than before. Okay, so you explained that you had been here before. Okay, good. Yeah, there we go. What I said to do before. But then she forced herself to look back at the computer.
はあ。それは間違いなく人体実験だ。
人体実験
No, that meant... That means she was... How much you want to bet that the earthquake and the pulse of light and all that fun stuff was the experiments going to a point where they caused something they probably wouldn't want to cause happen? That horrible vision started to eat away at me again.
簡単に言えば人間の脳をいじる実験だよ。
脳をいじるって、そんな。
だから言っただろ。ここはそんな生優しい場所じゃないと。
Kunisada was trying to keep her face as expressionless as possible. Labcoat was trying to keep her face as expressionless as possible. And then she opened up another file. She gasped a little. I could see the words on the screen as well.
ちょっと待て。なんだよあれ。
She was completely focused on reading the report. So she didn't notice that I was looking over her shoulder as well.
超感覚的知覚に関する臨床実験。特殊な事象異変を発現させるための具体的傾向。
What were event fluctuations? Labcoat clicked the mouse to move over to the next page. I read along with her.
視覚刺激による発症。的中率 9.25%。
Pathogenesis. I don't know what that means. Hey Siri, what's the definition of pathogenesis? Oh, that's not useful. The manner of development of a disease. I suppose that is useful. That implies that they're trying to develop the phenomenon, yeah, within people.
中脳辺縁系ニューロンのドーパミン分泌の誘発による発現。視床下部損傷と切除。発症見られず。思考のトレース。リモートビューイング。妄想の増幅による事象への影響。
Over half the report was filled with specialized language that I didn't really understand. But by desperately connecting the words the words I did know, I managed to make some sense out of the report. Okay, so going over each of these, we talked about pathogenesis, the idea that they're developing it via visual stimulation. What, like the ink blot test? Accuracy, nearly 10%, 's really high. Is that saying people that they know have the power or the phenomenon or something like that? I'm guessing psychic powers is basically what they're researching, yeah? Manifestation via induced dopamine emission in the central limbic system. I don't know what part of the limbic system. That's nervous system, right? Hey, come on. Hey Siri, what's the limbic system? Also known as the Mammalian cortex, is a set of brain structures located in both sides of the thalamus, immediately beneath the medial temporal lobe, the cerebral, primarily the forebrain. And let's open up Wikipedia entirely. Supports a variety of functions, including emotion, behavior, long-term memory, and olfaction. Emotional life is largely housed in the limbic system, and it critically aids the formation of memories. So basically, it sounds like the important parts there would be emotion and memory would probably be the things that tie most heavily into it. Especially considering the whole delusion element to what we've seen with Takaru here, right? Damage and removal of the hypothalamic area. Did we just talk about that? Is that one of the words that came up? There were a lot of things that I said. Damage and removal of the hypothalamic area. No pathogen seen. Hypothalamic area of brain. What is it, Siri? Siri, what is the hypothalamic area of the brain? Is a portion of the brain that contains a number of small nuclei with a variety of functions. One of the important functions of it is linked to the nervous system and the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. Below the thalamus. Responsible for regulation of certain metabolic processes and other activities of the autonomic nervous system. So it's sort of like jumping between an area of the brain that has a lot of elements that are important for just the body running, and that doesn't do anything, apparently. Thought tracing, remote viewing, influence on events via amplified delusions. Admittedly, those without any context for a full sentence. I'm not sure what to make of those for the last bit there. But by desperately connecting the words I know, I managed to make some sense out of it, and...
まさかそんなことが
I was stunned. Was that really possible? A girl who cried for us for help was being the girl who cried to us for help was being experimented on here. And the point of those experiments was
人間の脳をいじって超常的な特殊能力を発症させる実験
Oh, thanks for showing that one again. That's definitely what we needed. That explained why Shinjo and Labgoat were talking about psychics. And that was the commonality that I suspected was lurking behind the murders, because someone else brought it up entirely and I never really caught onto it myself.
Oi.
Labgoat got me looking and then threatened me in a low voice. But I didn't have time to worry about that.
これ本当なんですかこんな SF みたいなことが本当に
She looked unhappy but gave in.
実験自体は随分と前から行われていたようだ。というよりも、この病院自体がその実験のカモフラージュのために建てられたと考えてもいい。
この病院が
ああ。
それで今は
はあ？
今は行われてるんですかその実験
If that was true, was she still here?
いや、ある出来事をきっかけに中止されたらしい。
A certain event.
中止されたのはちょうど6年前。2009年11月6日。
それって
Exactly 6 years ago. Wait. Does that mean that the earthquake happened in the middle of the New Generation Madness stuff? Oh. What? Wait. Or are you... Wait, is today the 6th? Or is it October still? God, I wish I had like a calendar I could pull up. It's like, what day is it? What fucking day is it? Like, I know we're like in the first part of the... Like, we're like in the first half of a month. I know that. I know that.
渋谷地震の日
地震のせいで研究どころじゃなくなったのか。
いいや違うな。この病院は震源域の外だ。被害は全く受けていない。
じゃあどうして
So it wasn't the center of why it happened at the very least, that would imply?
だからそれを探って。
Lapcoat stopped short and clicked her tongue. She must have decided she told us too much.
いいからおとなしくしていろ。
She pushed me away from the screen lightly. Looked like she didn't want me to read anymore.
これは
Lapcoat's hand froze on the mouse. She was staring intently at the screen. Then she started to talk to herself.
11番目のロールシャッハが脳に与える影響。11番目
Oh, I get it, 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 I get it. I so fucking get it. Oh my goodness, I so fucking get it. I so fucking get it. I so fucking get it. It's the sumo sticker. That's why it's symmetrical. She just knocked me away so I can see the screen, but I couldn't help but lean forward. Are they trying to make a bunch of psychics? Her voice is just that strange.
どうしたんですか？
ロールシャッハテストには10種類の絵しか存在しない。11番目なんて聞いたことも。だから黙ってろお前。
Oh, it's okay. Lapio turned around and glared at me. When she did, I caught a glimpse of the monitor. Da, 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 da. The sumo sticker. The screen is filled with thumbnails of different research tests. And Lapio was just about to click on the mysterious 11th one. Click to open the file. When she did. That is very different than what I expected, but I do see elements of it. Like the... Well, I might be looking for it too. It is that, literally that sort of test. What appearance screen was. Does it really? What's the button to... Nope. That one. Okay, let's look at this more closely. I sort of see the mouth element to it. That's so much different, though. I actually sort of see the bears again. I see the bears, the fighting bears again. I see a mouth and a nose, and I sort of see... Oh, it's so much different. It's so much different from the thing we've seen that I thought it would be, though. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's fun. Okay, well, I think I'm going to call it there. I don't know if this is going to add up entirely to an hour, but, it is what it is, basically. I'm not sure how much longer this is going to go, and these solutions can be very in-depth if they want to, so, I will talk to you all next time, then, I guess. It's very interesting. Oh, you know what? I sort of see it now. Actually. Mouth there, like I looked at it again sort of out of the corner of my eye and sort of like mouth, eyes, mouth, or like chin, mouth, eyes. I sort of see it now. I didn't see it until like I sort of looked at a corner of my eyes. That sort of looks like the nose, eyes on the side there, and then you have this nose coming down in the mouth. I sort of see it now. I did not see that previously though. Interesting. Yeah, you know, it does look a bit more similar. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, well, I will see you all again next time. I'm not sure if my own personal schedule is going to get much better, but, you know, at least it's a holiday weekend, so I'll be getting more sleep. So, I'll see you all next time. Drive safely, everyone.